Get ready to find your recipe for a successful real estate lifestyle from America's top expert here at Greenlight REI with your host, Lance Edwards.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this session of Greenlight REI, where you're going to learn the recipe for the successful real estate lifestyle. And we've got a very special guest speaker today on a topic that's of interest to everyone. I can guarantee that's listening to this podcast at this moment, and this is on the subject of where to get the money. This is financing for real estate. And our guest today, our guest expert, Mr. Geoffrey Platt. Geoffrey with Arbor Realty Trust, and he's been speaking to us on the topic of small balance loans for small apartment purchases and more. And in particularly interest on these loans are non-recourse loans you'll be speaking to us about. So I know that's of interest to everyone. So with that, Geoffrey, welcome to this session of Greenlight REI.
Lance, thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it. One thing, Geoffrey, I want to do before we get started here, you're the best on talking about Geoffrey Platt. So could you give us kind of your background and how you got involved in real estate and how, what you're doing now with regards to real estate financing? I think we only have 30 minutes, right?
That's right.
So my background is my real estate background. My family, my father actually started investing in real estate in New York back in the mid '80s, and I was a young kid, maybe 10, 12 years old, helping him collecting rents and fixing units and turning units, and don't ask. That's how I got my taste and my passion for real estate. Then I started working at Bear Stearns when I graduated college, and I was working on the fixed income desk. And then I was interested in working on their CMBS desk. Now, that was something that I was looking forward to at the time. And I said, you know what, let me go back to school and get a degree in my MBA in real estate at NYU. I went back and that was in '07 at Bear Stearns. Luckily, I left Bear Stearns in '07 before Bear Stearns fell apart, went to NYU and graduated in NYU in '09. And a classmate of mine was working at Arbor as an analyst in their underwriting group. And I said, you know what, let me take the role. So that was back in 2010. And I was working in underwriting. And what I did was I took my passion for understanding how to operate real estate. And then I said, let me learn about how to finance real estate. Let me bridge the two. So I took my background in operating real estate, and then I took, what I learned in school, and then I applied it in, as an analyst at Arbor in underwriting. And I did that for about 4 years in underwriting, worked my way up into senior underwriter and then a VP now at Arbor. And then I transitioned into originations, where I was able to take all of those passions in underwriting and credit and operations, and I kind of combined all that and being able to help people on the originations front. And that's kind of where it brought me today, where I'm able to help and provide my clients with kind of the best of everything. I'm able to provide my clients with the whole process. My background in underwriting and credit, understanding appraisals, understanding the engineering reports, understanding how to navigate operating statements, the whole process. That's what gives me the advantage over other originators, other agency lenders. That's what that's what makes me who I am, and my background lends that to me. But that's kind of me in a nutshell, and what makes me who I am.
That is very unique. The fact that you have the operations background combined with the lending side, you got the whole picture of it. That is very unique in the lending side. So Geoffrey, let's get down to what type of real estate do you finance, and what is your niche, if you can describe that niche?
So Arbor is a direct lender for all the agencies. And when I say agencies, that includes Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD. In addition to that, Arbor also has a robust bridge platform, and we also have a CMBS platform. In terms of the agencies make up most of our lending business. We are number one small business lender in the country, number one Fannie Mae lender. We are the top 10 Fannie Mae lender overall for the last 11 years running. So that includes affordable housing, that includes military housing, it includes student housing, it includes conventional lending, larger loans. We're also top small balance Freddie Mac lender. So the bulk of our business is the agencies. And that's basically Arbor's platform.
And Geoffrey, when you say small balance loans, can you define that for us?
Got it. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both have what we call small balance programs. Now they're not exactly the same. Fannie Mae's small balance program starts at $750,000 and it goes up to $5 million. There's a difference between the markets. Certain markets actually do go up to $5 million. So other markets go up to $3 million. They cap out at $3 million. What qualifies as a small loan? Freddie Mac, their small loans start at $1 million and go up to $7.5 million. That's what qualifies as quote unquote a small balance loan.
And is it limited to multifamily, or is it any kind of commercial income?
No. So Freddie, all the agencies are only multifamily, or at least what Arbor does through the agencies is only multifamily. And multifamily means 5 units or greater.
And the reason they're doing this, their charter is to help provide affordable housing. Isn't that the charter behind the agencies?
Well, it's when you say affordable, so the charter really is intended for what they call workforce housing. So they want it to be quote unquote affordable, but not necessarily like, when people say affordable, they think like a HAP contract or a LURA, something that's on the deed or on the title. Their charter really is workforce housing. People, in the middle of America, due to the fact that rents are just on the rise, they're looking for workforce housing, and that's why the bulk of the deals that we finance as an agency lender are C+, B- assets, 60s, 70s, 80s vintage assets, true workforce housing, but solid, good quality housing that this country needs. And in fact, Lance, we had a meeting with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac about 2-3 weeks ago, and they said that housing stock is solid and on the rise, and the demand for that housing is very strong, and the outlook for that housing is very strong.
Well, you're right. You're right in our sweet spot. This is what we talk about as well. So for everyone listening, this is these sorts of financing for the exact type of target properties you're going for. So you're really going, your ideal client, I presume, you can correct me, Geoffrey, is the individual entrepreneur looking to go out to buy a small to mid-sized apartment complex, B- C+ quality. Is that correct?
That is our ideal client. Now, look, the minimum loan size may be, a little, $750,000 and $1 million for somebody starting out. It may be a little bit steep, but we are here to grow with our clients. Arbor is a volume shop, and we're not a top 10 Fannie Mae lender for the last 11 years running. Without being a volume shop, we do a lot of small loans. The top 10 Fannie Mae lenders, we're top 10 among other shops like CBRE and Wells Fargo. I mean, those are major, major, major shops that are well known throughout the country. Arbor may not be a name brand that's known nationally, but we are top 10, and we pride ourselves on the volume that we do in the small loan space because we grow with our clients, and we take pride in the fact that we do. So, for instance, we will grow with that client who may want to buy, that 10, 20, 30 unit property that may cost $1.5 million. But then he may say, hey, Arbor, I'm going to buy another deal. And then in 2-3 years, he'll buy another 2 or 3 deals. And then he'll say, Arbor, you know what? I want to graduate and I want to buy that $5 million deal. And then 3-4 years down the road, he'll buy a $10 million deal. And then he may want to utilize our bridge program and say, Arbor, I found this sweet off-market deal. It's got a little hair on it. Occupancy is not good, and the seller doesn't know how to manage the property. But I now have experience, and Arbor Arbor recognizes, hey, we have a track record with this client. We've been doing deals with him for the last 5 years. So we also pride ourselves on that we're a small loan volume shop with a track record with our clients, and I can attest to that. I have clients for 4 or 5 years that I've grown with, that I can see that I've grown. My first deal was, an 8 or 10 unit deal that I've done with a client, and now I'm doing 20, 30 unit deals. And what I can tell you is that a lot of the larger shops, those CBREs and those Walker Dunlops and those Wells Fargos, if you come to them with a $900,000 deal, they're going to say, take a hike. I'm not interested in your small loan. Arbor is the #1 small loan shop for a reason. We're here to grow with our clients. There's no deal too small. The only caveat is that, the agencies have those minimums. So $750,000 with the Fannie Mae program and $1 million with the Freddie Mac small balance loan program.
Got it. All right. So understand kind of your target. This is of applicable use to many of our viewers and listeners on the podcast. So now I know one of the questions on their mind, Geoffrey, is going to be, okay, well, what are the terms? And recognizing that, I'm sure part of the answer depends upon some factors. Can you share, representative or a range of terms, what it means, the loan terms for someone wanting to use one of these loan products on one of their property? And also recognize this also recognize it's going to be evergreen too. So this, they could be listening at different times over the future here. But
of course, absolutely. So I'll be very broad about, some of the things that are needed that will qualify you for an agency loan. And some of the things that I tell clients that are first time, some of my clients, and this is their first agency loan, is that once you do your first agency loan, you're now qualified as an agency client, which is huge. So some of the things that are required to be an agency client is credit score. Fannie Mae's required minimum credit score is on a Fannie Mae small loan is 680. On Freddie Mac, minimum credit score is 650. So that's the first thing that you have to have. Next thing is they typically require at least 2 years of multifamily ownership / management experience. Now, if you do not have that, they require that the property is third-party managed, meaning a professional third-party management company is going to manage the asset. So that's the second requirement.
By the way, I would recommend they do that regardless, personally, but have a professional management company. But
yeah,
don't let me interrupt you.
No, that's fine. But look, some people, if maybe a lot of times what you'll see is that people will want to graduate from owning duplexes or single family homes, and they'll say, hey, now I want to buy a 7-unit property. And they say, okay, Jeff, I want to take out an agency loan. And I'll say, well, I'm sorry, you only have experience managing duplexes and single families. The agencies don't recognize that as multifamily experience. So, and then, some people get upset about that, and I say, I apologize. They're going to require that you have a multifamily third-party management company. So that's where people have to understand that they're pretty strict on specific multifamily management experience. And when they say multifamily, it's important to note it means 5 units or greater at a single property, not total in your portfolio, but at a single location. So moving along in terms of the requirements, the next major requirements are net worth. Minimum net worth must be equal to or greater than the loan amount that you're applying for. So if you're looking for $1 million loan amount, you must show $1 million or greater net worth. Next thing is liquidity. You need to show liquidity of generally greater than 12 months of principal and interest on the loan that you're applying for. Generally, there's some leeway there, but generally we like to see greater than 12 months of principal and interest on the applied loan. And then now we can switch gears to the loan itself. All small loans need what we call 90 for 90. They need at least 90% physical occupancy for 90 days prior to closing, and we call it 90 for 90. So that's a major requirement on both agencies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And then those are the major requirements to qualify for the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac program. Basically, that's what qualifies you as a client, and that's what qualifies the property.
All right, let me interject here if I can. So, because some people heard that $1 million net worth, and I could hear the wind just exit their lungs. So, can they have a partner? Can they bring in a partner as part of the underwriting process who has the net worth and the liquidity requirement? Absolutely.
Now, the thing is that anybody that you bring on as a partner, has to have ownership in the deal, and B, has to sign on the loan docs. So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to have my partner who's worth $2 million, come in and say, hey, oh, he'll vouch for me. They actually have to sign their name on the loan docs. Now, granted, all of the debt we do is non-recourse, but there are carve-outs for the bad boy carve-outs. All of our loans have bad boy carve-outs. So, I mean, you do have to sign the loan docs, and that's why.
Now, explain a bad boy carve-out. What does that mean for everyone who just heard that term? Geoffrey?
Sure. A bad boy carve-out is essentially, look, non-recourse doesn't mean that you can go ahead and cook the books and do what you want, and and run the property into the ground. And hey, it's non-recourse; they can't come after me. There are some protections here. If you are doing fraud, if you are cooking the books, there are what they call bad boy carve-outs. Literally, if you're a bad boy, or in this day and age, if you're a bad girl, there are carve-out languages in the loan docs where they can come after you. Generally speaking, if you're running the property as you should, and the market tanks, or out of your control, the local market tanks, or things out of your control happen, the deal is non-recourse, and that's just what happens. But if, on the other hand, they investigate and you were, let's say, cooking the books, or you were misrepresenting, or you submitted financials that were not correct, then the deal can convert to recourse, and then that's when the bad boy carve-outs do come about. But generally speaking, our deals are 100% non-recourse. I personally have never had an issue with any of my clients where Arbor or Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac have had to exercise the bad boy carve-out. So I always mention that, but never had to act on it.
That's fair. So let me summarize. So these are non-recourse loans for ethical operators.
Correct.
Which, presumably everybody listening here is anybody that wants to seriously apply for the loan. And as far as the requirements now, if someone doesn't have the 2 years multifamily experience, then that can be substituted with the use of professional management company.
Correct.
That checks the box on that. There's a net worth requirement of a minimum of the loan amount, or was it $1 million? What was the minimum net worth again?
It's equal to or greater than the loan amount. So yes, if the loan amount, yes, of the loan amount.
Loan amount. And then there's a liquidity requirement, having 12 months of the P&I payment. Now, if you're lacking in one of those, then you can bring in a partner who has either that net worth satisfaction or the liquidity satisfaction, but they have to be an owner or a co-owner in the property, and they have to sign off on the note as well. Did I get all that correct?
Correct. And just to add on that, the partner doesn't have to have the full qualifications because we look at it as a combined. So for instance, if you and your partner combined qualify, then you qualify for the loan. So let's just say, argument's sake, the loan is $1 million, and you and your partner each have a net worth of $650,000. Then you both will qualify for the loan because combined you'll have a net worth of $1.2 million.
Got it. Now, let's say, just one more example, then we'll move on. Let's say it's $1 million loan. Combined, the two partners have a $1.2 million net worth. If they want to now buy 5 properties, they have to show 5 times the loan amount of net worth, or is it restart on each loan application in terms of the net worth requirement?
So that's a good question. So generally speaking, we look at net worth and liquidity on a deal-by-deal basis. So obviously, if someone is building a portfolio, we're not going to say, hey, your net worth is not strong enough to support 5 different deals. We'll look at it on a deal-by-deal basis, but we will stress and we will look at it, on a portfolio basis. But no, it is a deal-by-deal basis. That is the requirement.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's now shift, if we can, to the loan terms. What are the kind of down payment we're talking about? What type of range of interest rate? Balloon terms. If you can speak to some of that, and recognizing this is going to be evergreen as well, too, Geoffrey.
Got it. Okay. So one thing I'll tell you is, and based on the type of deals that I've been able to provide for my clients, and is that the agencies are very, I shouldn't say aggressive because I hate that word. They provide very favorable terms compared to a lot of local lenders in secondary and tertiary markets. So that being said, generally, agencies, both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, on acquisitions, they will lend 80% loan to value plus up to 3% for soft costs. So that means on acquisitions, I could potentially lend you up to 83% loan to value. And then there's a coverage ratio on the NOI of a 1.25 times. That's generally speaking on an acquisition loan. On a refi cash out, we tend to drop the LTV by 5% to 75% LTV. Rates now, I'm sure everyone follows where the treasuries are going, and they've spiked considerably in the last 2-3 months. And based on what the Fed has, all the info that the Fed has come out with, rates are not coming down, they're going up. Generally speaking, rates on a 10-year term, which is our most popular term, range, I would say anywhere from 5.25 to 5.75. And the reason why I give such a wide range is that both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, because they compete with one another, which I take advantage of. I take well advantage of the fact that they compete with one another, and I take advantage of that for my clients. And the way that they compete with one another is by is the affordability, programs. And I'm getting back to what we talked about very early on about the charter. Now, the charter of the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac programs is that they're here to provide workforce housing, not quote unquote affordable housing. When we say affordable housing, we mean low income. But when I say affordable now, and this is why I don't like when they call it affordable, but there are programs now and pricing breaks that they're offering now to compete with one another, where when you provide me a deal and a rent roll specifically, they have these calculators where if your rents on your rent roll for your deal qualify for, in their calculator, that they're below a certain threshold of area median income for your location, Fannie Mae will shave off 40 bips from your rate right off the grid. So that's why I'm giving you a range of like around 5.25 to as high as 5.75, because if your deal does not qualify, let's say your rents are higher than that threshold for area median income, I cannot extend that pricing break to you. And rates are probably in that 5.75, 5.85 range for a 10-year deal. But if it does qualify, then I shave 40 bips right off the bat. And that's huge. Now, on the other hand, Freddie Mac, they don't offer 40 bips off. I think if you qualify for that affordable, AMI, that area median income pricing break, they shave off, I think, 20 to 30 bips. But they have other pricing breaks. For instance, if you don't want as much leverage, they'll, if you want 70 LTV, they'll give you another 10 bips off. And if you have a debt service coverage that's higher, they'll give you another 8 bips off. And if you don't want as much IO, they'll give you another 4 bips off. So each program is unique. Freddie Mac really has a very customizable program where you can really customize what you want and get that rate really nailed down exactly and get the terms really nailed down. Like I only want 1 year of IO, I want max 70 LTV, I want a 7-year term, and I want a step down of 54321. So I'll be able to pinpoint and get you a discount of 4 bips off for that. I get 10 bips off of that. Oh, but you want step down of this? Okay, that'll cost you an extra 10 bips, but I'll be able to customize that. Fannie Mae is a little bit more restrictive. But I'm sorry?
I think the key part is they need to come to you to figure all this out. This is where you help. This is what you help your clients do.
That's what I do. And the beauty is that when you show me a deal, what service I provide is I use my skills to take advantage of the agencies. And the fact that Arbor is a direct lender for all of the agencies, we literally are, and I don't like pitching this. Well, I mean, not don't like it, but I don't like to tout it. We are a one-stop shop because we are a direct lender, a direct lender. There's no origination fee. We're not a broker. There are no brokers. There's no mortgage brokers here. We are a direct lender. So I take advantage of the fact that we're direct lenders, and I will pin Freddie Mac against Fannie Mae all the time. So when a borrower or a client of mine comes to me, I will say, okay, let me look at my deal that I have on my plate, and let me see which agency will give me the best deal. And I'll weigh it out and provide my client, hey, here's the Fannie Mae deal, here's the Freddie Mac deal, and I've manipulated one against the other, and this was the best product I was able to provide for you, given the market, given the affordability pricing discounts, given all the different options, and here's the best deal that I think you can, that given what you want, this is the best deal I can provide for you.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Now, I got one more question related to this, Geoffrey. So for clarification, for everyone listening, when you say in the example you gave, a 10-year term, is that a 10-year amortization or is that a 10-year balloon on a 25-year amortization? Can you expound upon that?
Got it. Everything I do is a 30-year amortization. Everything. Okay. There's nothing lower than 30-year amortization. And I'll let you know one more thing. So Freddie Mac's small balance loan program, unfortunately, they only offer a few different terms. They offer 5-year fixed. Again, everything is 30-year amortization. So they offer 5-year fixed, 7-year fixed, and 10-year fixed terms. They also have something else called a hybrid, a little more complicated, but it's a 5-year fixed with 15 years floating for a 20-year term, 7-year fixed with 13 years floating for a 20-year term, and then 10-year fixed with 10 years floating for a 20-year term. So essentially, Freddie Mac SBL offers 6 different terms, 3 fixed terms, and 3 what they call hybrid terms. So 6 different terms, and that's it. Those are the only terms that Freddie Mac SBL, SBL stands for Small Balance Loan Program. So that's all they offer. On the other hand, and this is where Fannie Mae does outshine Freddie Mac's small balance loan in certain respects, is Fannie Mae offers a 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, 18, 20, 30-year fixed loans. So it really offers every client, every possibility of every term they could possibly imagine.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Almost sounds like HUD in some regards.
Exactly. So you know what? I mean, the Fannie Mae, I have clients who want to do, I want to buy this deal and I may want to sell it in a couple of years. So I put them in a 5-year. I have other clients who say, Jeff, I want to buy this deal and I'm never selling it, and I want to hold it, and I want to pass it down to my kids, and I have no intention of refining. I want to live on the cash flow. I want a 30-year fixed. Boom, I'll put them in a Fannie Mae fixed deal. And I just locked one in for like 5.5% rate because it has qualified for the 40 bips off. Can you imagine a 30-year fixed deal, 30 years fixed at 5.5%?
That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. That's what it's all about as far as I'm concerned, locking that in like that is fabulous. So one more question. Well, give us on this thread, one more question is, give us, if you could, Geoffrey, maybe some sample deals you've done lately or in the past or what's going on right now to kind of represent what opportunities you're seeing for your clients.
In terms of deals or in terms of the kind of products or kinds of loans that I've closed?
Yeah, the kind of deal. Well, like this example you just gave right here of the client who's got a 30-year fix for 5.5%. Or if you have another client who's doing something different. I just want to give everyone a perspective of how they should be thinking right now of how they could be doing different loans to meet their particular financial needs in apartments.
Well, it's interesting. So I have different clients with different investment horizons. Like I'd mentioned, you have a client who's looking for shorter term. You have clients looking for longer term. For instance, I was actually speaking to a client yesterday who's just did a ground up construction in Wisconsin, ground up, and he's looking for, he may want to sell the deal, he may want to finance, refi the deal, he's not really sure. So he was looking at a 5-year term, and then he said, Jeff, give me a 30-year term just in case. And what's crazy about it is that I was looking at it as a Freddie Mac SBL, right? Because, they only have the 5, 7, and 10-year term. And he said, give me the 5-year term. So I'm not sure if I want to sell. I only want a 5-year term. And because of the market that it's in, and it did not qualify for the affordability because, I'm sorry. It did qualify for the affordability. But because of the market that it was in, because, Fannie Mae has different is structured not the same way as Freddie Mac. And I can explain to clients when they call me individually, but Freddie Mac is broken down by different regions and markets, so the pricing is different, and I can talk about that individually. But because of where this property is located and the pricing that it was broken down into, the deal broke down to a rate that was somewhere around like 540 something. And then for whatever reason, he's like, just see, what if we hold this deal? Give me a quote for a 30-year. I'm interested. So then I said, all right, let me look at it. And because Fannie Mae is not broken down into markets like Freddie Mac does, and it did qualify, like I said, it did qualify for the affordability. The rate on a 30-year was like 540. It was almost the same. And the guy's like, wow, maybe I should consider just locking this in. And what I was trying to tell him also, and this actually, now that I'm thinking about it, and this is interesting to tell clients of yours, because, and this should kind of lend itself to prepayment, because that's a good question that a lot of people ask, well, what's the prepayment? How do I get out of these deals if I want to? Because that was his whole question, is like, well, how do I sell the property? What if I lock it up for 30 years, and 30 years is a long time. It's not my primary residence. I mean, I may want to sell the deal. So I said, all of my debt, all of it is assumable. That's the beauty. If you lock in a 30-year fixed rate at 550, because I literally, his 30-year term was almost on par in terms of rate, 30-year fixed, with what I was able to get him, the best quote with the Freddie Mac program, which was like, maybe it was a 7-year deal. But it was almost about the same based on it. And that's why I was like, wow, you know what? His name was Matt. I was like, Matt, the 30-year fixed is almost the same rate. I didn't even realize, but because Fannie Mae's pricing break of that 40 bips off, I'm able to get you almost the same rate. So you think, let me speak to my partners. Maybe that's the right way to go. And I said, you can sell that deal still. And even in 5 years, you sell the deal. The buyer can assume the loan. And I told them, and I'll top that. When your buyer assumes the loan, right? Fannie Mae also has another program called a supplemental. So a lot of times Arbor will do is when a client of ours sells a deal to a potential buyer, what we do is something called an assumption supplemental. We do it at the same time. So let's say in 5 years down the road, the property has increased in value, and now a new borrower comes in and they want to assume the loan, but the balance of the loan is only at this point in the remaining life of the loan, the LTV on the loan is only, let's call it 60%, right? The value, the purchase price has gone up, right? The value has increased in the property, and the balance of the loan is only like 60% loan to value. I'm assuming the loan. Well, hey, I want more leverage. What's going on? Fannie Mae allows, like I said, a supplemental. Arbor provides an assumption / supplemental. So you can sell your deal and tell your potential buyer of the property, Arbor will provide you can assume my loan, meaning you will assume the existing terms, you will assume the locked rate, and you can take out a supplemental which will bring you back up to 80 LTV. You'll take out like a little second mortgage. So that is the beauty. Now, this, I guess, I'm sorry?
That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Great. So, and this I'll lend you just, and this lends itself just into, because we didn't talk about prepayment penalties. So Fannie Mae, the program starts with what's called yield maintenance, and it's a little hard to explain over the phone, but if you Google it, it gets into detail about the specifics about it. But in a nutshell, it's quite expensive to pay off early. Fannie Mae does have an option to do a step-down prepay, like a 5-4-3-2-1 step-down prepay, but there is a bit of a premium adder on there onto the rate. Conversely, Freddie Mac defaults to a step-down prepay of a 5-4-3-2-1, and you get a reduction in your rate of, I think, 15 to 20 bips reduction in the rate if you choose to go to yield maintenance. So I work with my clients a lot when I say, if you're going to buy and hold your deal, right, and you have no intention of selling, take the 20 bips off, lower your rate. If you don't want to sell your deal, you're a buy and holder. You're not selling it, you're not refining it, get the lower rate, take the yield maintenance. That's another way that I help to advise my clients. Another way, talking about yield maintenance, and this is a deal that I closed back in January. I had a client of mine, and this is actually interesting because I had a client of mine in Florida who's trying to buy a deal in North Miami, smaller deal. I think it was 10 units. The loan was I think 1.4 million, and it was a Freddie Mac small balance loan. And he said, Jeff, I want to refi in like 2-3 years because I want to put money into the property. I want to renovate. I want to increase rents. And then I want to refi with a new loan, and I want to cash out some of the equity I put into the deal because I know I'm going to increase rents and increase value. And I don't want to be tied up with a 3 or 4% prepayment penalty in years 2 or 3 because a 5-year deal on the Freddie Mac small balance has a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 prepayment penalty. It's a step down prepayment penalty. So I told my client, well, it sounds like you're looking for a bridge loan. I'm not sure if a lot of the listeners know or are familiar with what a bridge
explain that. No, go ahead, explain the bridge loan, please.
Okay, so real quick, Arbor provides a bridge loan. Now, unfortunately, and this is really what we're trying to work on, Arbor's bridge program is not geared and set up for small balance loans. It's kind of silly because we're the #1 small balance lender in the country. Our bridge program really starts 5 million and greater, but so that's why I really won't get into it on this call. But what a bridge loan is, a bridge loan allows a client to bridge them between their purchase and a permanent loan takeout. And what it's really meant for is to help you stabilize a property when it's not stable and not qualified for a permanent loan. So remember, we had that requirement of 90 for 90, 90% physical occupancy for 90 days. So let's say you're looking for a deal that, or you're looking to buy an off-market deal, not managed well, has 60% occupancy, it's in terrible shape, it needs a lot of work. That's when you need a bridge loan. Typically, a bridge loan may have rates of 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10%. And a bridge loan term is usually 2, maybe 3 years. It's usually geared towards the amount of time that it'll take you to turn around that property and bring it up to the quality where it'll be qualified to be taken out with a permanent Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan. So my client at the time, now the deal qualified for a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan, meaning it had the 90 for 90, it was in okay shape. It needed a little bit of, paint and cleanup, but it had the 90 for 90. But my client said, I wanted to upgrade the units and I wanted to bump rents. He saw the potential. And he said, in 2 years, 2, maybe 3 years, I want to refi and I know I can do it and I know I can push it out. So what I said is, hey, I will create, quote unquote, a bridge loan out of the Freddie Mac small balance loan for you, because the Freddie Mac program on the 5-year fixed allows for an additional 25 basis points on the 5-year fixed, allows for an accelerated prepayment penalty step down for a 3-1-0-0-0 step down prepay. So in year 1 of the loan, it's 3%. In year 2, it's 1%. And afterwards, it's 0. So in year 3, he had a 0% prepayment penalty. Now, it added 20 bips to the loans. I think his loan ended up being, his rate was maybe like, I don't know, 540 on a 5-year deal, which was expensive. I mean, at the time, because I was locking 5-year deals back then at under 5%, maybe like 470, maybe less, 460. But I said, that's the cheapest bridge loan you'll find, because bridge loans are usually like 7-8%, maybe even higher. And he said, Jeff, I'm going to take that all day, because in year 3, I got 0 prepayment penalty and I had a locked interest rate. Keep in mind, bridge loans are always interest only and they're floating. They're floating rates. So you have a lot of interest rate risk. That was essentially a locked bridge loan. So that's the kind of service I provide my clients. I'm here to think outside the box. I'm here to be creative. I have the credit background and the credit knowledge. I'm very familiar with the products because of my underwriting background. And I also have the, let's call it hands-on experience from my background working, actually owning and operating real estate, and looking at the engineering reports and understanding where we can, make things happen and work through issues. I'm not here to, I see a lot of people who have zero actual hands-on real estate experience, and they get a report from an engineer or an appraiser, and they tell their clients, hey, the engineer said the roofs are past their prime. It's going to cost $300,000. And it is what it is, client. I'm sorry. And a deal will get killed that way. And when I see something like that, I say, hold on, pump the brakes. I tell my client, why don't you go and get yourself a contractor and get me a bid? And I'll have a client come back with a bid from a qualified, roofing contractor that says, it'll cost you $30,000. Just, put a coating of X, Y, and Z on the roof, and let's fix a couple of holes here and there. It'll be good as new. I'll get that bid back from the client, give it to my engineer. He'll revise his report. Bing, bang, boom, we're done. So that's the kind of service that I can provide to my clients, and I've done it time and time again, where I'm able to think outside the box. I'm able to be creative. I'm able to, and I like to use this word, manipulate one agency against the other. I like that. I get a kick out of being able to take advantage of the Fannie Mae system versus Freddie Mac, and that's what they're here to do. They're here to compete one against the other, and I also like utilizing the programs to the advantage of my clients, like I did by turning one of the Freddie Mac SBL programs into essentially what was a bridge loan for one of my clients.
So, Geoffrey, you clearly, this is, I'm getting excited to take a lot of notes. I know what people listening are. So and so there's your finance arm right there, folks. So Geoffrey, how do people get in contact with you to avail themselves of your services?
So you can email me at gplatt, GPLATT at Arbor, ARBOR.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, but I'm always available via email. And I get back to people right away, and I'm always welcome any emails, any questions. That's the best way to get to me is via email. I'm very quick to respond.
Super. Well, we'll put that on for everyone. We'll put that on the show notes. Put Geoffrey's email address on the show notes, so you know how to get access to him. Because clearly, it's a lot of options here, a lot of creative, flexible options tailored towards these small business loans, quote, for workforce housing. Got all the parameters we talk about, all the parameters you're looking for. And what's beautiful about it is it's very configurable and flexible, as Geoffrey was explaining, but clearly you need the expert like Geoffrey to navigate these waters. Geoffrey, that was fabulous. You had reminded me of stuff that I'd forgotten about. I'm here taking notes myself. So I want to thank you so much for sharing this opportunity with everyone, and obviously your knowledge and really painting such a clear picture of things that most people, I would dare say, don't even aware of even exist. So thank you so much.
It was truly a pleasure. A lot of times, I'll leave off with this. I have a lot of clients of mine who struggle with local banks, and when they come to me, they are shocked at what I'm able to provide to them when their local banks are just turning them down. So that's what I'll leave it off with. Shoot me an email. Let me take a look at your deal. Let me see what I can do. I'll do my best. And Lance, thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to working with everyone.
Very good, Geoffrey. This has been fantastic. So everyone, for the show notes, and again, it's gplatt@arbor.com is Geoffrey's email. We'll put this on the show notes. Plus, we'll have the show notes. This recording, a lot of information covered, so I know you want to go back to those show notes. But for the show notes and the archive, of course, you always visit www.greenlightreinvesting.com. That's www.greenlightreinvesting.com. You'll get the show notes for this podcast, plus all the free resources provided there for the entire area of real estate investing. Until the next session of Greenlight REI, wish everyone the greatest success in your real estate business and your real estate lifestyle. Take care, everyone. Bye.
You've been listening to The Expert with Lance Edwards. Let us now blatantly and shamelessly bribe you toward creating your own real estate lifestyle by offering you a whole bunch of free stuff. Go to greenlightreinvesting.com and get you some free stuff and this session's show notes.